Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to share with you a recent clip from a SplinterlandsTV live event where I talk about the value and the value proposition of the Hive blockchain and holding Hive tokens. But also we have a special guest, R0nd0n, joins the conversation because he has a lot of interesting information, historical information around how Hive came out of Steem and the creation of that through a hard fork. It's actually a really interesting story. If you guys aren't new, if you're new to this space, if you're new to blockchain, if you're new to Splinterlands and Hive, this is something you're going to want to know because it speaks to the resiliency of this blockchain that we're investing in. It's actually an indication and proof that our blockchain, Hive, is strong enough to survive a literal attack, which is super great because we're investing money and we're risking it. We're putting it onto this blockchain. We're trusting that these cards we own are actually going to be safe and secure. And this is actually proof that that will be so well into the future. If you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you stick around, stay tuned. Guys, like and subscribe, drop a comment below, and make sure you leave that in-game name because if I answer your question, I will send you a little thank you. Let's get into it. Thank you guys for your time and attention. Have an amazing day. God bless. I don't really have a price target for Hive, but it's my opinion that Hive is everything that what Steem was and better. And Steem is the predecessor to Hive. Actually, Hive came out of a fork of the Steem blockchain. And you guys might not know this, but Steem had more tokens than Hive. And Hive forked, deleting a section of the tokens that existed. Therefore, it has a lower, it should have a lower circulating supply and total supply. Let's see, 380 and 160. So let me quickly go over to Steem. This is important because Steem is a comparable, which can speak to where the price could be on Hive. Look, 123, 167 circ, and 380 total supply. Let me see Steem. The ones it has almost double the circulating supply. So that is a gigantic difference, and yet Steem all-time high $8.57. And that was the last bull run. And I do believe this has something to say about where we're at now. Because back here, by the way, the only thing that Steem was really off, Steem has all the benefits that the Hive does in many ways, like really fast transactions, tons of programs can run on it without any sort of, it's not a problem because of the delegated proof of stake consensus mechanism that they used. Is that the right terminology? I think it is. With the witnesses and how they each... Go ahead.
R0nd0n is saying that Steem isn't a blockchain, it's a database.
Okay. I think he's saying, I would love to almost hear his voice here right now rather than try and read through text, but I suspect he would say that from what I understand. And I guys, if you want to know, if you really want to deep dive on this, I'm not the guy, but from what I know of it, my point is...
He said call him.
Call him? Okay.
Yep. Mike's muted.
Oh, hello.
Hey, can you hear us?
Am I coming through clear? Is my level okay?
Hang on, let me check OBS. Say something for me, Ron.
All right. Well, hi guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you're a little bit on the quiet side, Ron, but we are getting it. And Jim is a little bit on the high side, so I can't bring you both up.
Actually on Discord you can right click and then turn the volume up, but I just turned myself up. Is that get better?
That is perfect. And that's cool to know. I didn't know that. So in the future I can right click on one person and raise the volume on them. Love it.
Yeah, raise or lower, go all the way up to 200%, which isn't really actually 200%, but that's not what I'm here to talk about.
Thanks for taking the time and thanks for listening, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. If I'm able to stay up for it, I will. You know, I stayed up last night till like 3 a.m. to catch all the shows and all that. I'm trying to make time and make my way to do all this stuff. You know, sometimes I have to be up early in the morning to make a meeting or whatever, but whenever I can make the times, whenever I can do it, I absolutely love to. But yeah, no, the Steem thing, I mean, I don't know. So how long have you been around, Jim? How long have you been around, Dwayne?
So I've been, I came into Splinterlands through Steem Monsters, and I came into Steem Monsters through Steemit. I was blogging on Steemit under Infidel1258 like forever ago. and I'm still, obviously I'm still doing that on Hive. I don't blog on Steem anymore, because ever since the controversy, which is a whole separate conversation that would be hard to unpack for the audience. But my understanding, and I'd love to hear, clarity so I can understand it, but is Steem is centralized because of the ownership and how the tokens were collected, and that means, is that why you say it's more like a database, in the sense that there's one owner with like 100 and like there's so much circulating supply that's in hands of one party? Is that where your comment comes from?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you basically have to break it down to the fundamentals. But that's great to hear that you were around for all that. You understand kind of what happened during that hard fork. I was a witness during that hard fork
Oh, wow.
of the blockchain. So like and I was part of like me and R0nd0n and several other people were having these town halls, having these different meetings, trying to figure out what to do, what we're gonna have, what's gonna happen, like rallying the community behind trying to overturn this massive stake that took over our community.
Yeah.
What you said earlier about DPoS, it's exactly what it is. It's delegated proof of stake.
Yeah.
And with that kind of system, like with Bitcoin, if you want to attack the Bitcoin network, you need 51% of the miners. And then you can basically, you own the Bitcoin network. And with DPoS, you need to own 51% of the stake. But the fact of the matter is, it can be even less than that. It depends on the amount. You need to own 51% of the voting stake.
Yes.
So not 100% of the stake is voting for witnesses.
Yeah.
So then, that means that you need to have 51% of the voting stake. Justin Sun was able to take Steem Inc.'s pre-mine stake, plus all of the exchanges stake, and put it all towards these witnesses that took over the chain.
Guys, that part is so important that Ron kind of just glossed. It's so crazy. But Ron, they might not know this. He approached Binance, right? And he convinced them to let him attribute. This is true, right? Like they attributed because the Binance was holding X amount of Steem, and he approached and got access to that to be staked. Which then
let me preface that, because that makes Binance look kind of bad. Which I'm not a huge fan of any of these centralized exchanges, but he told them your customers' money is at risk. Steem is being attacked by hackers, and you need to vote for these witnesses.
That's so wild. That's so crazy.
And so that's what Binance did. They're like, oh no, I'm worried about my customers. And
thank you for that clarification.
To them, really, even though they did a bad thing, like, at least they reversed it later. But after the damage was done.
Yeah, and remember there was the problem with one of the things with Steem too is it took a long time for it to then unstake. So they made that choice. Maybe they made it, with the best intentions and not fully understanding the situation and really believing their customers' money was at risk. But then once it was staked, I remember I had Steem on Binance and I wasn't able to get it off because it was staked and they had to then wait for it to unstake. And so that process took time to unfold, to unfurl. Like that, there was like a problem that had been created, and they then recognized it was a problem. They actively tried to fix it, like Ron is saying, but it took time to fix that kind of situation. And can you then give us more about how that led into how did we get Hive out of that?
Well, I first want to clarify the statement about it being a database.
Okay.
Because if you understand what a blockchain is, it is a database. That's kind of what it is, but it's even more than that because it's cryptographically proven that the last block, there's consensus. Okay.
Yes.
Whether it's proof of stake, where there's consensus of the miners.
Yep.
Or proof of delegated proof of stake, what we have now. I said proof of stake twice. Proof of work, like with Bitcoin, or proof of stake, like with several other chains.
Yep.
There is consensus. Like, okay, I verified that this last block happened, and then someone else goes, all right, yeah, that looks good to me, and then someone else goes, yeah, that looks good to me, and depending on the protocol, like a certain amount of those goes through before they say, all right, yeah, this is good. When you own so much of the network, then you can just say, yeah, this looks good, yeah, this looks good, yeah, this looks good, until like it's built into the place, which essentially turns it into a database. Essentially just turns it into your own personal spreadsheet of this is what your balance is, this is what your balance is, and there is no difference. That's what's happened on Steam.
Yeah.
And honestly, guys, you know, like I know some people, I've been through the whole Steam community. I've been a part of that since 2017. So, I've been around the block. I know a lot of people around, and there's still some people that like use Steam. I know people that use Steam, but the thing is like you've got to know the risk. It is a database. It's not a cryptocurrency anymore.
Yeah.
There's no consensus anymore. It's one person deciding.
That's what I understood your quick text to mean in the chat, and so I'm glad you're here to elaborate on, because the point is it's coming down to the fact that there's a great degree of centralization over who holds those tokens, and therefore who is being voted in as witnesses, and therefore what is and so it's not really being decentralized, and so you're really just trusting this central entity to govern that wisely. And one might point to past events and say like the proof is in the pudding. They haven't, and be careful is what you're saying, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to dance with that, it's the same thing as like what was that scam that was going around for a while? That Ponzi scheme that everybody BitConnect.
Yeah.
I actually had some friends that made a bunch of money on that.
Yeah.
They knew it was a Ponzi scheme. They saw it right away.
Yeah.
They were like, "Hey, this is a Ponzi scheme. You can lose all your money, but you know, right now the returns are amazing."
Yeah.
And they made a bunch of money. I didn't want to touch it, but you know, some people jump into the fire and they come out unscathed, and more power to them. I guess. I don't.
So, but definitely the reason though I brought it up, and I hope it's clear to you, Ron, and also the audience, is the fact that I think it's important to look at something like Steem and see that Hive came out of that, and that the transactions per second I think is identical. Is it not, Ron? From Hive,
it's the same protocol. Yeah.
So I mean, this is an amazing protocol, and and Hive is very powerful because of that. And so I point to Steem, not because Steem is, you know, where I'm looking these days, but because this has something to say to me. I don't know if you can't see my screen, I guess, but I'm pointing to
watching it. Yeah.
I'm pointing to the all-time high. And I mean, I don't know if Hive goes to 857 this year. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that Hive is a great blockchain with amazing development and games like Splinterlands running on it. And you know, there's Splinter Talks, and there's obviously Peak Monsters running on as well. It's like there's just lots of great things happening there, and I think, as far as I'm concerned, holding Hive makes sense. And I look to just like if I was buying a house, I would look at comparables. And I feel like Steem is something that, from where it came from, even if it's now grown into something else, I don't use the current price as a comparable, but I use the all-time high as a comparable, because this was some sort of degree of faith in what had been, what was being built and what was being offered. And now I think that it has something to say to us about where Hive might go. And that's why I'm sitting on like 2,700 Hive, and why I'm trying to diversify some of my DEC into maybe some Hive, and maybe like I said earlier to Jim, to some SPS and whatnot.
I mean, look at it right now. Hive $1.23. Steem 40. What was it? 43, 41.
Yeah, 43.
That is like, honestly, guys, I don't think people really appreciate this. There's been a few notable people that have recognized this, but for the most part, it flew under the radar. This is the first fork of any cryptocurrency ever.
Yeah.
With a different name. So like Ethereum forked, and then there was Ethereum Classic. There's Bitcoin forks all the time, Bitcoin Cash, all that.
Yeah.
But this is the first time that a fork took a different name and outpaced the original.
Yeah.
This is the first time.
And the circulating supply is so cool. Like the total supply lower, all of that is going to imply that it's going to affect the economics and the supply demand, and then the price. But then it's super cool too, because it points to resiliency of the blockchain that we're placing faith in. Because maybe some of the viewers and people who love Splinterlands don't even recognize that it's on the blockchain, but some of the data is being stored on the blockchain, and that's
your cards are.
Yeah. And so
your card ownership is relying on this blockchain. And the fact that we were able to stop an attack and
Yeah.
keep your card ownership.
So awesome.
You know, I don't know. People don't really understand yet. I think they will. Like it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
Before people, you know, the wheat separates from the chaff.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
We're gonna end up going into a place where, yeah, I don't think 850 is, or whatever, 875 was the high. Or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That's gonna be nothing.
Yeah.
I've been a big believer in Hive for a long time. You know, or even Steem, like just the protocol and the technology behind
Yeah.
it is amazing.
Yeah.
But then surviving an attack and thriving
Exactly.
afterwards and
Exactly.
coming up to be like one of the best applications for any kind of blockchain development and you know, dApps and stuff. there's no question about it.
Absolutely, my dude. I totally agree. And it's really, really exciting to see because, guys, hear me. This means when you're putting hundreds or thousands, or maybe you're putting time and attention into a game called Splinterlands, and it translates into cards that you are winning and earning, and then, you know, eventually staking and earning rental profits off of, and then price appreciation on those cards. All that value that you've accumulated through purchase or through time is secured on a blockchain that has proven to be able to survive attack. When somebody steps in and buys lots and lots of tokens, it tries to literally seize control of the steering wheel of that blockchain and transform what you believed you were investing in. There are people at the helm that recognize that concern and can fork the blockchain and that's how Hive was born. It's so crazy, and it was a big deal back then when it happened. It was like on crypto media and stuff like this. But I think most people now don't know anything about that. So I'm really glad we were able to spend the time talking about it, Ron.
Yeah, right now we're kind of in the we're in the roaring 20s.
Yeah.
Where everything is just hype.
Yep.
Hype fuels all, you know, it's the wind beneath all the sails.
Yeah.
That's going to die down though. We're gonna have a reckoning. You know, are you familiar with the crypto bubble of 2001, kind of that era?
I didn't start
you look old
until
enough.
I didn't start until about 2016.
No. I'm sorry. I said the crypto, the .com bubble of
Oh, yes.
2001.
Yes.
Yeah, the .com bubble, man. You remember like pets.com or something was going for that was like, just because it had the name pets.com, it's going for billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like just out of pure speculation.
Yeah.
And you know, but that crashed, but it didn't end. It did not end the .com industry. You know, now we have Amazon and Facebook and all these, and Twitter, and like these giants of industry who do exist still in the same sphere. But it shook up a lot of the losers. And that's what we're going to see that in crypto. It's definitely going to happen. I don't know when. It might take a little while. It might take 10 years. It might take 20 years. I don't really know. I'm not a fortune teller, but it's going to happen. And when that happens, the good chains are going to be separated from the bad chains.
Totally.
And you better be like not just grasping onto some kind of hype.
Yeah.
You better be grasping onto fundamentals and principles and really good solid foundations.
I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. And in part, that's an always ongoing. We as participants in this space need to be constantly diligent about us analyzing what is going on in the things we are looking at. And that's why channels like this, and hopefully my own on YouTube and Jim's too. And it's like this ongoing conversation between people who are striving to understand truth. Like none of us knows all the things that are going to come, but as new factors come before us, we can interpret that new data together and then come to meaningful conclusions that direct our future paths and hopefully position us in an amazing way to just crush it. And I think especially, like, I mean, people who watch the channel know how I feel about Splinterlands, and it's because I really think we've seen a history of 1, surviving a bear market, 2, escaping that attack, 3, you know, it's an amazing game, 4, we've seen trust and faithfulness coming out of the development team, which gives me confidence in the future where the foundation they're building. And that is enough for me to then say, okay, how do I play in this sandbox and maximize what I'm extracting here? And I think that's what people see in this game. I hope that's what they see: fun and opportunity. entertainment and opportunity. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's what it's offering.
Absolutely. Jim, you've been very quiet.
I'm pretty noob when it comes to cryptocurrencies, so I am learning a whole lot right now.
Okay. Well, I just noticed you were really quiet. I didn't want to like. I was just hoping I wasn't talking over you or anything.
No, you're good.
So I was part of this. I'm actually mentioned as R0nd0n in the lawsuit against Justin's son.
Is that right? Eh?
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
I was part of it because I kind of took credit for the. Oh my God! I don't even know if I want to get into this.
Yeah.
So
drama time with R0nd0n. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, so essentially, and I didn't take credit for it, but I kind of implied that I did. Justin's son used his sock puppet witnesses to steal the money, like, I mean, millions and millions of dollars from people. Okay? I'm not quite sure if you guys realize this, but when that stuff was all happening, the exchanges all voted for his witnesses. He voted for his witnesses, and they were the top 20 witnesses of the blockchain, all like on the same server, and they controlled the blockchain. They decided to freeze the funds of like some people who were against it, and this is like, I think it was like 20 million, 30 million Steem, something like that. A lot of freaking Steem, and they put that all into one account called Community 321. Now, this Community 321 account all of a sudden changed its keys and sent all the money to Bittrex.
Wow.
This is like this could be a movie being made about this stuff, guys. I mean, I'm not even kidding. This right here was like the biggest, like it was a heist. It was a double heist, right? It was like they stole the money and people were like, and then they got the money stole back, but they didn't know what to do with it. It was a hot potato, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what to do with that, like, because they control the blockchain. So any address you send that to can just be like, oh no, your account's now mine again, you know? So they sent it to like the one place that they couldn't steal it from because you don't want to piss off an exchange.
Wow.
And I took credit for it.
Wow.
Because whoever did it, and I don't know who did it, but whoever did it, I didn't want them taking, like, I wanted to like direct the heat towards me, just so like they didn't, it's a red herring, right? I wanted to be like, hey, look at me over here while they're they can chase phantoms, because but I am mentioned in the court case in the lawsuit against them.
Wow.
What a wild time. And it really is like the Wild West. Like you're saying, the Roaring 20s. It's like a totally different